and please take your seat. Mr. President, the Senate is now ready for today's proceedings.
Thank you, the Acting Chief Whip of the Federation. The Senate is most welcome to today's proceedings. We will start with the votes and proceedings of Thursday, the 5th day of July 2018. It's voluminous and we'll move as fast as we can. Page 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Any comment? 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80. Page 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90. Page 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120. Page 121, 122, 123, 124, 125, 126, 127, 128, 129, 130. Page 131, 132, 133, 134, 135, 136, 137, 138, 139, 140. Page 141, 142, 143, 144, 145, 146, 147, 148, 149, 150. Page 151, 152, 153, 154, 155, 156, 157, 158, 159, 160. Page 161, 162, 163, 164, 165, 166, 167, 168, 169, 170. Page 171, 172, 173, 174, 175, 176, 177, 178, 179, 180. One 181, 182, 183, 184, 185, 186, 187, 188, 189, 190, 191, 192, 193, 194, 195, 196, 197, 198, 199, 200. Page 201, 202, 203, 204, 205, 206, 207, 208, 209, 210. Page 211, 212, 213, 214, 215, 216, 217, 218, 219, 220, 221, 222, 223, 224, 225, 226, 227, 228, 229, 230. Pledge 231, 232, 234, 235, 236, 237, 238, 239, 240, 241, 242, 243, 244, 245, 246, 247, 248, 249, 250. Sir Nevada.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Usman Bayero Nafaka. I move that the vote and proceedings of Thursday, July 5th be adopted. I so move.
Thank you, Senator Hunkwi. Senator Hunkwi, can you second the motion?
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that the votes and proceedings for Thursday, the 5th July 2018 be approved. I so second.
Very well, thank you. Dear colleagues, those in support of the prayer that the votes and proceedings of Thursday, the 5th day of July 2018 be now approved, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, we have a letter from the Committee on Review of the 1999 Constitution. It's an announcement that the Senate Committee on the Review of the 1999 Constitution will meet today, Tuesday, 10 July 2018, immediately after plenary sitting at Senate Meeting Room 224, Senate Building. Signed, Senator Ike Ekweremadu, the Deputy Senate President and Chairman. Further announcement. This is from the Clerk of the National Assembly. This to remind all distinguished senators that a public lecture to commemorate the one-year anniversary of the relaunch of the National Assembly Legislative Digest is scheduled as follows. Date Thursday, 12 July 2018. Time 1 p.m. Venue, Large Kwali Hall, Abuja Sheraton Hotel and Towers. Theme, strengthening the legislative bureaucracy, the dangers of divided loyalty. Special guest of honor, His Excellency Professor Yemi Osibanjo, Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Guest of honor, Dr. Obaka Bukola Saraki, President of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara, Speaker, House of Representatives of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Guest Speaker, Asuwaju Prince Oluyemi Ogunyomi, former Clerk of the National Assembly. Announcer Mohammed Ataba Sani Omolori, Clerk of the National Assembly. Further announcement. I wish to acknowledge the presence of members of One East Local Government Legislative Arm, Edo State, and then staff and students of Loyal Family Academy, Uye District, Abuja. On behalf of the Senate, I most respectfully welcome you to our plenary sitting today and wish you a fruitful observation. Please sit down. Senate Leader. Senator Tazi.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Senator Chukwuka Utaze. I represent the good people of Enugu North, the surrounding seat of Enugu State. I write on point of order 42, matter of urgent public importance. Mr. President, with your permission, I read. The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day's sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claims unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. 2, if the claim is allowed by the President of the Senate and the leave of the Senate is given by at least 1/5 of the senators, the matter shall be stand to next day. Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. The matter of urgent public importance that I'm bringing before the Senate this morning is about the Akanu Ibiam International Airport runway that has been declared the worst runway in the country. Mr. President, on Saturday, after Friday that we had court judgments that concerned me in Enugu State with my governor of Enugu State, and then the Senate President here, I was the jubilant crowd from Enugu that came, moved, were on our way back to Enugu, and entered and boarded the A-Peace flight. Inside that flight, by the time we were landing, the pilot alerted all of us, because all the dignitaries from the southeast were in that plane. He told us that they have complained bitterly about the runway in Enugu.
Now, Senator Tazi, we seek the leave of the Senate to have this thing discussed another day. You can't be moving emotion now. I think they are just taking leave. I think it's clear already. Is that the wish of the Senate that this matter will be taken in the next legislative day? All right, thank you. Senator Hassan Mohammed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mohammed Hassan, Yobe South Senatorial District. I equally would want to come under Order 42, matter of urgent public importance. With your kind permission, Mr. President, I would like to read. The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day's sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, as we are all aware, this country witnessed a very, very great loss on Thursday last week, the 5th of July 2018. An elder statesman, Malam Adamu Chiroma, the Mada Kimfika, was my constituent. I would like to seek the leave of this Senate to present a motion to this regard with your kind consent, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Senator Hassan Mohammed mentioned this to me earlier, but in accordance with our rules, I'll still be questioned such that if you approve, we'll take this matter in the next legislative day. Is it the wish of the Senate that will take this matter in the next legislative day? Yeah. Thank you. Senate Leader.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleague, the first order of the day is a motion standing in the name of distinguished Senator David Umaru. Oh, first reading. The first business of the day is presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Umaru Kurfi on the Auctioneers Registration Council Establishment, ETC Bill 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Auctioneers Registration Council, etc., Establishment, etc., Bill 2018, SB 693, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Auctioneers Registration Council, etc., Establishment Bill 2018, SB 693, first reading taken. Senate Leader.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleague, the first order of the day is a motion standing in the name of distinguished Senator David Umaru on the alarming rise in cases of alleged human rights violation and consistent assault on the provision of the 1999 Constitution by the Executive. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator David Umaru to move the motion.
Senator David Umaru. Is all here.
ask that this matter be stood down to another legislative day. I so move.
Mr. President, I second the motion that this matter be stood till another legislative day.
Dear colleagues, those in support of the prayer that this matter be stood down to another legislative day, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Senate Leader.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, for the confirmation of the nomination of Mr. Fola Shodun Adebisi, Shonubi, for appointment as the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria in accordance with Section 8(1), subsection 2 of the CBN Act 2007. Mr. President and distinguished senators, the purpose of this motion on the order paper is for the request of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, to be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I therefore move that the request of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action. I so move, sir.
Mr. President, I second the motion.
Have you supported the motion? Okay. Dear colleagues, those in support of the motion that this matter be referred to the relevant committee, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. It's now referred to the Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions for further legislative action and to revert back within 2 weeks. Senate Leader.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, the 14th order of the day are House bills for concurrence as listed in the order paper. Distinguished senators will recall that the bills were read the first time in this chamber on Thursday, the 19th day of April 2018, and Wednesday, 18th of April 2018, Tuesday, the 8th day of May 2018, Wednesday, the 9th day of May 2018, Tuesday, the 15th day of May 2018, Wednesday, the 30th day of May 2018, respectively. Mr. President, for the simple nature of the amendment, I will use a single lead debate on this bill. Mr. President, you may wish to proceed.
Just hold on, let them get the bills. All right, Senate Leader, may proceed with the lead debate.
Well, Mr. President, the bill for concurrence, every member of this honorable, of this distinguished Senate knows that it is a matter of course that when bills are sent to us for concurrence from the House of Representatives, there is equally what we refer to as legislative cooperation, on the assumption that detailed debate, public hearing has been done in respect of the bills. The request is for the cooperation of each and every distinguished senator to offer the necessary and desired cooperation for the purpose of concurring with the bills set by the House of Representatives. And Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, I will urge that at this stage, my colleagues concede in accordance with our rule that concurrence be given to the bills as listed in the order paper for expediency. I will have loved to take them one by one for the brief, but the contents are so clear. You have the copies of the bill, and I am of the opinion that it's a straightforward matter that we can grant the request of the House of Representatives to concur on the bills. Thank you, sir.
King James.
Move that the bill be read the second time for the purpose of our concurrence. Thank you, sir.
Senator Manager.
Mr. President, my respected colleagues, James Manager, Delta South. Mr. President, recall that about 2 months ago, I alerted the attention of the Senate to this, how we manage the concurrence of bills that are coming from the House of Representatives. Yes is for concurrence. And of course, yes is for legislative cooperation. I understand all that. But while we do so here, we also expect that there's a correspondence cooperation from the House of Reps. And to the best of my knowledge, I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. Even bills that have been passed, duly passed, with public hearings and everything done in Senate here, by the time they get to the House will want to subject the same bills to the full legislative procedure. And that is what is happening in the House. So our bills passed here, they suffer in the House. Unnecessary delays are happening there. While we concur, ours is just to concur. So, Mr. President, my respected colleagues, it is important for you at your level, at the level of leadership, to discuss this matter, because we on this side, who are not leaders, we are getting worried about what we call concurrence and legislative cooperation. So, Mr. President, this is very, very important, because right now the leader has told us these are bills that are passed through due process in the House, and therefore what we need to do now is just to concur. While we concur here, we also expect that they also concur over there. This is very significant, Mr. President.
Well, what Senator James Manja raised is very serious, because I'm sure some of us are victims of that. Some of our bills are still hanging in the House of Reps. So I think I have your support to direct the Senate leader to take this matter up with the leadership of the House. Why don't you just collect the list from the clerk of the Senate, have the list, and then go and find out what is position with all these bills sent from the Senate, and report back on Thursday. Want to have the feedback by, so you have today and tomorrow to get the true situation, and let us know those that are passed and those that are still pending there, to enable us know what to do in respect of their own bills that are here. But I think there should be some reciprocity, in this kind of circumstance. Senator Lero.
Order. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Senator Adamu Alero is my name. I represent Kebbi Central. Mr. President, I'm a little bit worried with this concurrence. The essence of having by Cameron legislature is to ensure that all legislations pass through both the House and also the Senate. It is not just enough for us to receive bills from the House of Representatives without subjecting them to debate and put inputs that are necessary. This will ensure quality legislation. There are certain omissions that will be made in the House of Representatives. And here, once we notice them, we will try to treat them. So I'm not satisfied that we should just concur. Instead, we should subject these bills to the normal procedure. Debating the bills in the House Chamber, as it was also debated in the House of Representatives, and then we subject them to committee stage before we eventually pass them into law. This is the only way we can comply with the legislative procedure. It is not just enough for bills coming from the House, the Senate, we say we concur. Concur with what? I don't even know what was discussed. Yes, I don't even know what they discussed.
Well, I would have replied, but since there's somebody from KB who will speak to you in the language you understand, let me invite the Senate leader to address you in the KB language.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. While I would have loved to agree with the submission of my brother, distinguished Senator Aleru, there is a convenient way of disagreeing with him, sir. If he has read the normal procedure, sir, when bills are sent for concurrence, it's just the concurrence of the Senate that is required to refer them to the various committees. And that's why the call will be so that the bills will be read the second time. And upon being read the second time, they will be referred to the various committees for their legislative input. That is the normal procedure, sir. It's not the normal procedure for us to debate bills for concurrence on the floor of the Senate. They are normally taken care of the committee. So this will represent the...
Well, just to add that the fact that we say it's concurrence does not mean that we're abdicating our responsibility or that we're cutting corners. It will still go through the first reading, which it had gone through. We're now at the stage of second reading. And after the second reading, we will also go to the committee of the whole, to discuss the bill and take it clause by clause, and then before we come back to final pass. So it will go through the legislative processes established by our rules. So in the second round, may I put the question now? Those in support that these bills go through the second reading, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it.
And for related matters, 2018, second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Training and Development of Nigeria, a body charged with responsibility to regulate the practice and professional training and development, and for related matters, second reading taken. Sir Leader, Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the bill for an act to amend the Extradition Act, Cap E25, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, to give effect to the rule against double jeopardy as recognized under the Constitution, provide procedural safeguards to avoid extradition of persons in cases of mistaken identity, and to effect appropriate modifications on the Act to conform with the provisions of the 1999 Constitution, and for related matters, 2018, second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Extradition Act, Cap E25, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, to give effect to the rule against double jeopardy, as recognized under the Constitution, provide procedural safeguards to avoid extradition of persons in cases of mistaken identity, and to effect appropriate modification on the Act to conform with the provisions of the 1999 Constitution, and for related matters, 2018, second reading taken. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Pension Practitioners of Nigeria, and for matters connected therewith, 2018, second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Pension Practitioners of Nigeria, and for matters connected therewith, 2018, second reading taken. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill to amend the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, and for matter connected therewith, 2018, second reading.
Dear colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, and for matter connected therewith, 2018, second reading taken. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the National Environmental Standards and Regulations Enforcement Agency Establishment, etc. Act 2007, and for related matters, 2018, second reading.
Dear colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the National Environmental Standards and Regulations Enforcement Agency Establishment, etc. Bill, Act 2007, and for related matters, 2018, second reading taken. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the National Institute of Credit Administration, and for matters connected therewith, 2018, second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the National Institute of Credit Administration, and for matters connected therewith, 2018, second reading taken. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the National Broadcasting Commission Act, Cap N11, LFN 2004, to amend for competition in Nigeria and related matter thereto, 2018, second reading.
Dear colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the National Broadcasting Commission Act, Cap N11, Laws of the Federation 2004, to provide for competition in Nigeria and related matters thereto, 2018, second reading taken. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Institute of Mining and Geosciences, JOS, to provide courses of instruction, training, and research in exploration and exploitation of minerals for national development, and for related matters 2018, second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act established the Nigerian Institute of Mining and Geosciences, JOS, to provide courses of instruction, training, and research in exploration and exploitation of minerals for national development and for related matters, 2018, second reading taken. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Film Corporation Act, Cap N109, LFN 2004, and reenact the Nigerian Film Commission Act 2018 to regulate and develop the film industry and for related matters 2018, second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Film Corporation Act, Cap N109, Laws of the Federation 2004, and reenact the Nigerian Film Commission Act 2018 to regulate and develop the film industry and for related matters 2018, second reading taken. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Maritime Operations Coordinating Board Act, Cap M4, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2014, reconstituting the Maritime Operations Coordinating Board for effective control of all maritime operations in Nigeria's territorial water and the exclusive zone, create the Maritime Security Fund, establish anti-piracy offenses, and for other matters related, 2018, second reading.
Dear colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Maritime Operations Coordinating Board Act, Cap M4, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, reconstituting the Maritime Operations Coordinating Board for effective control of all maritime operations in Nigeria's territorial waters and the exclusive zone, create the Maritime Security Fund, establish anti-piracy offenses, and for other related matters, 2018, second reading taken. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Maritime Administration and Safety Agency Act, number 17, 2007, to increase the functions of the agency and for related matters 2018, second reading.
Very distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency Act, number 17 of 2017, to increase the functions of the agency and for related matters 2018, second reading taken. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Coastal Shipping Cabotage Act number 5, 2003, to restrict the use of foreign vessels in domestic, coastal, and inland commercial activities, to promote the development of indigenous tonnage, and to establish a coverage vessel financing fund, and for related matters, 2018, second reading.
Dear colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Coastal Shipping Cabotage Act number 5, 2003, to restrict the use of foreign vessels in domestic, coastal, and inland commercial activities, to promote the development of indigenous tonnage, and establish a cabotage vessel financing fund, and for related matters, 2018, second reading taken. Mr. Leader.
Well, Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, in accordance with Order 81, Rule 1, I would like to move a motion for the bills to be referred to the Committee of the Whole. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I second the motion.
Which motion? Distinguished colleagues, those who vote on the motion that said that now result the Committee of the Whole to discuss the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, we take the bills one after the other. The first one is the Chartered Institute of Training and Development of Nigeria, a body charged with the responsibility to regulate the practice and professional training and development and for related matters 2018. It has 20 clauses. Those in support that clause 1 start part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 2. Those in support that clause 2 start part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 3. Those in support that clause 3 start part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 4. Those in support that clause 4 start part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 5 to 10. Those in support of clause 5 to 10, start part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 11 to 15. Those in support of clause 11 to 15, start part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 16 to 20. Those in support of clause 16 to 20, start part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Schedules 1, 2, 3. Those in support of schedules 1, 2, 3, start part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Explanatory memorandum. Those in support that explanatory memorandum at page 25, start part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Short title. Those in support that short title, start part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The long title. Those in support that long title, start part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The next is the Extradition Act, Amendment Bill 2018. It has 8 clauses. Those in support that clause 1 stamp out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support that clauses 2 to 5 stamp out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support that clause 6 to 8 stamp out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support that explanatory memorandums at page 4 stamp out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those support that the short title stamp out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those support that long title stamp out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The next is the bill to establish the Chartered Institute of Pensions Practitioners of Nigeria and for matters connected therewith. It's 15 clauses. Any comment? All right. Those in support that clause 1 to 5 stamp out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support that clauses 6 to 10 stamp out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support that clauses 11 to 15 stamp out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support that clause, these two schedules stamp out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support that explanatory memorandum, the short title and long title stamp out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The next is the bill to amend the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission Act. It's 5 clauses. Those support that clause 1 to 5 stamp out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Section 6A appears to have been omitted, and I want to amend it to say that, notwithstanding the provision of any other law, the Commission shall have power. Yes, it's an addition, sir. It's an additional, sir. Yes, sir. Because we have to refer, because the way I see, there is a strong commission on the bill, sir. And until we make this amendment, it will make the entire process useless, sir. Because if you study the bill, sir, the removal from office of the GS is not provided for. And that is going to leave a very big issue when the bill is eventually signed into law. And I was thinking that we can make this amendment and send it back to the House for conference. It will be better than starting the process completely ab initio, sir. Yes, sir. So the amendment that I sought is to add additional section 6A1 to say that notwithstanding the provision of any other law, the Commission shall have power to recommend to the President the removal from office of the Chief Executive Officer of any ministry, department, or agency that fails to. Then it will be, because what happened is that the Principal Act only amended section 1 to 5. So we are now taking at the Act itself completely, and that an insertion to section 6 is equally necessary, so that we will have these provisions.
You know, to reflect an amendment at this stage, especially if it's not minor, is dangerous, because we do not know actually what informed the other amendments already reflected here. So I think my thinking should be, if you feel strongly about it, maybe you should come up with your own amendment, because this is not our bill. So this will be well considered in the House. So to introduce a different section now may bring some difficulty. Because what you are just trying to make is to provide for how they could be removed. So I'm sure it's either in the Principal Act itself, or if it's not in the Principal Act, I'm sure we can come up then.
This Principal Act are reflected under section 6. But what we are saying is that that provision is incoherent, it's incomplete. And the only way to complete it and to make meaning to the entire amendment will have been to insert this amendment. But if it's the opinion of the Senate that we leave it, but we will have ended up doing a lot of job that will not have made any meaning at the end of the day. That's my own thinking, but we can leave it at that, sir. Maybe we'll come by an amendment bill as quickly as possible. Okay. Yes, sir.
Right. Those support that clause 1 to 5 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against saying nay. The ayes have it. Those support that the explanatory memorandum, the short title and long title stand part of the bill say aye. Those against saying nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. The next is a report of the bill for an act to amend the National Environmental Standards and Regulations Enforcement Agency Establishment Act 2007 and for related matters 2018. It has 19 clauses. Yes, Senator Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, my respected colleagues. I had thought that I made a complaint, and it appeared the chairman sitting as president agreed with me. And now we are considering this bill. And the bills have not been referred to, even the committee. Straight away we are considering this. We are cooperating with the House fully. But the House is not cooperating with us, sir. We are, so many of us are victims. Bills that have been passed here for 5 months, 6 months, they are there. So, Mr. President, I had thought that you agreed with me, and that was a ruling. Before distractions came in, I don't know where we are now, Mr. Chairman. Sir.
We addressed your concern and directed the Senate leader to go back to the House with all the list of outstanding bills and then report back on Thursday. So without prejudice to our considering this, we are working in good faith and hoping that he'll come back on Thursday and give us an appropriate response that will meet your concern. No, there are so many of them waiting. There are still others on the line. Yes.
I pledge to faithfully carry on the instruction of this distinguished Senate.
Thank you again, Yes Manager, for bringing up that observation. So this bill is in 19 clauses. Those of that clause 1 to 5 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 6 to 10. Those support that clause 6 to 10 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 11 to 19. Those support that clauses 11 to 19 support of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those support that the explanatory memorandum, the short title and the long title, all stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. The next is the report of the bill for an act to establish the National Institute of Credit Administration and for matters connected therewith, and have it in 28 clauses. Those who vote that clause 1 to 10 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those who vote that clauses 11 to 20 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support clauses 21 to 28 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support that schedules 1 to 3, explanatory memorandum, short title and long title, all stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. The next is the bill on National Broadcasting Commission, Amendment Bill 2018. It's in 3 clauses. Those support that clause 1 to 3 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those support that explanatory memorandum, the short title and long title, all stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. The next is a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Institute of Mining and Geosciences, JOS, to provide courses of instruction, training, and research in exploration and exploitation of minerals for national development and for related matters 2018. This is in 35 clauses. Those who support that clause 1 to 10 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those who support that clause 11 to 20 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those who support that clause 21 to 35 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support that the list scheduled there, explanatory memorandum, the short title and long title, all stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Go back to your seat.
The Distinguished colleagues, the next is the bill on Nigerian Film Commission. 16 clauses. Those who support that clauses 1 to 10 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those who support that clauses 11 to 16 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those who support that the short title and the long title stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those who support that explanatory memorandum stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you.
The distinguished Senator Eshon, please go back to your seat. The distinguished Senator Jeremiah Hussein, please go back to your seat.
Dear colleagues, the next is the Bill on the Maritime Security Operations Coordinating Board Amendment for 2018. It's in 12 clauses. Those support that clauses 1 to 10 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those support that clause 11 to 12 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those support the explanatory memorandum, the short title and long title, all stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Dear colleagues, the next is the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency Act, Amendment Bill 2018. It's in 3 clauses. Those in support of clause 1 to 3, stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support of the explanatory memorandum, the short title and the long title, all stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The last is the Coastal and Inland Shipping Cabotage Act Amendment Bill 2018. It's in 36 clauses. Those support that clause 1 to 10 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those support that clauses 11 to 20 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those support that clauses 21 to 36 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those support that the explanatory memorandum, the short title and long title, all stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you, distinguished colleagues. Senate Leader.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, may I move that the Senate revert back to plenary to report progress in respect of the bills mentioned in the order paper in the order in which they were mentioned and considered at the Committee of the Whole.
Mr. Chairman, may I second the motion that the chair does report progress and report back to plenary.
Before I put the question, let me tell Senator Esa, I didn't hear what he said. Those support that the chair now report progress say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate Committee of the Whole considered the Chartered Institute of Training and Development of Nigeria, a body charged with the responsibility to regulate the practice and professional training and development and for related matter 2018, and approved as follows. Clauses 1 to 19 as recommended, Schedule 1 to 3 as recommended, explanatory memorandum as recommended, short title as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. The Senate, the Committee of the Whole, considered the Extradition Act Amendment Bill 2018 and approved as follows. Number of clauses 1 to 7. Amendment of memorandum as recommended, short title as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired by Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Dear colleagues, we also consider this Chartered Institute of Pensions Practitioners of Nigeria and for matters connected therewith and approved as follows. Clauses 1 to 14 as recommended, 1 to 2 as recommended, explanatory memorandum as recommended, short title as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired by Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate also in the Committee of the Whole considered the Bill on the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission Act Amendment Bill 2018 and approved as follows. Clauses 1 to 4 as recommended, explanatory memorandum as recommended, short title as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired by Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Dear colleagues, we also consider the National Environmental Standards and Regulations Enforcement Agency establishment, etc., Bill 2018 and approved as follows. Clause 1 to 18 as recommended, explanatory memorandum as recommended, short title as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired by Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Again, we also looked at the National Institute of Credit Administration, etc., Bill 2018 at the Committee of the Whole, approved as follows. Clauses 1 to 27 as recommended, schedules 1 to 3 as recommended, explanatory memorandum, short title, long title, all as are recommended. Is this a reflection of what transpired by the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Again, we also looked at the National Broadcasting Commission Act Amendment Bill 2018 and approved as follows. Clauses 1 to 2 as recommended, explanatory memorandum, short title and long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired by the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. We also looked at the Nigerian Institute of Mining and Geoscience Just Bill 2018 and approved as follows. Clause 1 to 34 as recommended, schedules 1 as recommended, explanatory memorandum, short title and long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired by the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Also, we looked at Nigerian Film Commission's Bill 2018 and approved as follows. Clause 1 to 15 as recommended, schedule 1 as recommended, schedule as recommended, short title, explanatory memorandum, and long title, all as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired by the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. We also looked at the Maritime Security Operations Coordinating Board Act Amendment Bill 2018 and approved as follows. Clause 1 to 11 as recommended, short title as recommended, long title as recommended, also the explanatory memorandum. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. We then looked at the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency Act Amendment Bill 2018 and approved as follows. Clause 1 to 2 as recommended, explanatory memorandum as recommended, short title as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Finally, we also consider the Coastal and Inland Shipping Cabotage Act Amendment Bill 2018 and approved as follows. Clauses 1 to 35 as recommended, explanatory memorandum, short title and long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Senate Leader.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleague, may I move that the bills be read the third time in the order in which they appeared on the order paper and reported back to the Senate by the President of the Senate, sir. I so move.
Mr. President, I second the motion that these bills be now read the third time.
Dear colleagues, those in support that these bills be taken the third time now, as proposed by the Senate Leader and seconded by the Minority Leader, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Training and Development of Nigeria, a body charged with the responsibility to regulate the practice and profession of training and development and for related matters 2018, third reading.
Dear colleagues, a bill for an act to establish a Chartered Institute of Training and Development of Nigeria, a body charged with the responsibility to regulate the practice and profession of training and development, and for related matters 2018, third reading taken and passed. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Extradition Act, Cap E25, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, to give effect to the rule against double jeopardy as recognized under the Constitution, provide procedural safeguards to avoid extradition of persons in cases of mistaken identity, and to effect appropriate modifications on the act to conform with the provisions of the 1999 Constitution, and for related matters 2018, third reading.
Dear colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Extradition Act, Cap E25, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, to give effect to the rule against double jeopardy, and as recognized under the Constitution, provide procedural safeguards to avoid extradition of persons in cases of mistaken identity, and to effect appropriate modifications on the Act to conform with the provisions of the 1999 Constitution, and for related matters 2018, third reading taken and passed. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Pension Practitioners of Nigeria and for matters connected therewith, 2018, third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Pension Practitioners of Nigeria and for matters connected therewith, 2018, third reading taken and passed. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission and for matters connected therewith, 2018, third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission and for matters connected therewith, 2018, third reading taken and passed. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the National Environmental Standards and Regulations Enforcement Agency Establishment, etc. Bill 2017, and for related matters 2018, third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the National Environmental Standards and Regulations Enforcement Agency Establishment, etc. Act 2007, and for related matters 2018, third reading taken and passed. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the National Institute of Credit Administration and for matters connected therewith, 2018, third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the National Institute of Credit Administration and for matters connected therewith, 2018, third reading taken. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the National Broadcasting Commission Act, Cap N11, LFN 2004, to provide for competition in Nigeria and related matters thereto, 2018, third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the National Broadcasting Commission Act, Cap N11, Laws of the Federation 2004, to provide for competition in Nigeria and related matters thereto 2018, thoroughly taken and passed. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Institute of Mining and Geosciences, JOS, to provide courses of instruction, training, and research in exploration and exploitation of minerals for national development and for related matters 2018, third reading.
Dear colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Institute of Mining and Geosciences, JOS, to provide courses of instruction, training and research in exploration and exploitation of minerals for national development and for related matters 2018, third reading taken and passed. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Film Corporation Act, Cap N109, LFN 2004, and reenact the Nigerian Film Commission Act 2018 to regulate and develop the film industry and for related matters 2018, third reading.
Very distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Film Corporation Act, Cap N109, Laws of the Federation 2004, and reenact the Nigerian Film Commissions Act 2018 to regulate and develop the film industry and for related matters 2018, third reading taken and passed. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Maritime Operations Coordinating Board Act, Cap M4, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, reconstituting the Maritime Operations Coordinating Board for effective control of all maritime operations in Nigeria's territorial waters and the exclusive zones, create the Maritime Security Fund, establish anti-piracy offenses, and for other related matters, 2018, third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Maritime Operations Coordinating Board Act, Cap M4, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, reconstituting the Maritime Operations Coordinating Board for effective control of all maritime operations in Nigeria territorial waters and for exclusive zone, create the Maritime Security Fund, establish anti-piracy offenses, and for other related matters 2018, third reading taken and passed. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency Act, number 17/2007, to increase the functions of the agency and for related matters 2018, third reading.
Dear colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency Act, number 17/2017, to increase the functions of the agency and for related matters 2018, third reading taken and passed. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Coastal Shipping Cabotage Act, number 5/2003, to restrict the use of foreign vessels in domestic coastal and inland commercial activities, to promote the development of indigenous tonnage, and to establish a cabotage vessel financing fund, and for related matters 2018, third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Coastal Shipping Cabotage Act number 5/2003 to restrict the use of foreign vessels in domestic coastal and inland commercial activities, to promote the development of indigenous tonnage and establish a cabotage vessel financing fund, and for related matters 2018, third reading taken and also passed. Well, distinguished colleagues, I would like to thank all of us for our commitment to the service of this country, especially when it comes to our function as lawmakers. I believe that we will respond to the dynamism of society when we perform some of these functions, because the society is dynamic, and so try as much as possible to make sure that we update our laws to meet with this dynamism and be able to serve our people better. So that's exactly what we have done today, and I want to thank you for living up to this expectation and our responsibility. And I have to also add that we will continue to work with the House of Representatives in matters such as this to ensure easy passage of bills that will serve the best interest of our people. And we expect that the House of Representatives will on their own respond and also reciprocate these gestures from the Senate to ensure that there will be easy passage and early passage of bills, especially those that touches the lives of the people of Nigeria, so that they will see that we are indeed committed to serving our country. So once more, I want to thank all those who contributed to the preparation and the processing of these bills, which have now been passed this afternoon. So once more, congratulations and thank you for your cooperation. Sir Leader.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, the fifth order of the day is the second reading of the Police Act Repeal and Enactment Bill 2018. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, the 30th day of May 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Balai Binala to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Well, if Senator Binala is ready, let him go ahead.
Well, Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, it's important to lay a very, very important recital before delving on the debate as it relates to this bill. Mr. President, let us not be quick to forget that from 1999 to date, events have clearly shown that all other security agencies in this country have pledged and have lived up to their pledge to continue to support democratic governance in this country. But unfortunately, Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, there are a lot of incidents that can be referred to that clearly show that the Nigerian police has not lived up to that pledge. Mr. President, the present President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, when he was campaigning to become the president of this country, even as a former president, Mr. President, with the late Chuba Okadibo, who was former president of the Senate, running as his vice, were tear gassed by the Nigerian police when they were carrying out their lawful duty and political rally in Kano. We all know this, sir. We must not equally be quick to forget the fact that in Rivers State, we had a situation where a commissioner of police clearly came out and made it practically impossible for citizens of that state to exercise their civil right to politically associate. And that was prelude to 2015 election. Mr. President, let us equally not be quick to forget the fact that we had an Inspector General of Police who clearly came out, despite his oath to uphold, protect, and defend the Constitution, and said that he did not recognize the existence of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, as he then was, Speaker Aminu Tambuwal. There are a lot of these cases. I am not unaware of the agitation for the creation of state police. But Mr. President, you will know that there are some states in this country that cannot afford to establish state police. What it means is that in the event that the bill for the creation of the state police succeeds in the Senate and the House, the consequence of it is that those states that are going to rely heavily on the federal police will continue to go through this ordeal. It is in line with this that I think it's important that we revisit the entire structure of the Nigerian police. As of today, Mr. President, we live in a country where somebody will be kidnapped, ransom will be arranged, not in 500 or 200,000, in millions. That money will be galvanized, taken to the kidnappers, delivered, and the person released without any arrest coming from the Nigerian police. I think with this issue, it occurs, and I think we have a responsibility to accept the fact that something is fundamentally wrong. It is either that the country exists with a police force that it can rely upon for the protection of life and property, or we accept the fact that that police does not exist for the purpose for which it is established. The options are two. And I believe that it is the responsibility of the Senate to accept the fact that something is fundamentally wrong with the present system that we operate. So I thank you, Mr. President, for giving me the opportunity and my colleagues for the honor and privilege to lead this debate on a bill for an act to repeal the Police Act, CAF P119, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and establish a police that shall protect the rights and freedom of persons invested in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, as amended. Prevent the commission of crimes, dictate crimes, apprehend offenders, very, very important, sir. Apprehend offenders, preserve our law and order, protect lives and property, and duly enforce all laws and regulations which they are duly charged, and such duties within or outside Nigeria as may be required by them or by or under the authority or any other act ensures cooperation between police service and the various communities itself in preventing and combating crimes, ensuring respect for the victims of crime, appreciating the needs of such victims, and providing for effective civilian supervision of the Nigerian police. The bill was read for the first time in this Senate on Wednesday, the 30th day of May 2018, and the general idea behind the bill is to establish a service-oriented and modern police that will meet globally acceptable policing standards in a democratic setting, to replace the current police force, which was conceptualized and established in colonial environment more to protect the colonial interests than to protect and safeguard the Nigerian citizens. The philosophy of the bill goes to the conceptualization of the police as a service in which the people and communities are co-stakeholders and in which the people came first as against the police as a force, which stood apart from the people, is set out to protect and safeguard. The bill, when passed into law, will replace the Police Act, which came into effect on the first day of April 1943, sir. 1943, sir. So you can see that despite our political dynamics, despite our growth, despite our complexities, we are still operating under what existed in 1943. And I think that this should not be acceptable to any responsible democratic setting. Section 5, which seeks to establish the Nigerian police as a police organization, is to be known as the Nigerian police to replace the Nigerian police force, thereby removing the colonial basis of the police, making the police more responsive to modern-day policing in an independent nation governed by Constitution and the law, sir. Promulgated thereunder and to bring it within acceptable global standards of the police in democratic countries, sir. Part 3 of the bill, which comprise section 9, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16, clearly established the hierarchy of the police as contemplated by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, their appointment duties and functions and powers, sir. Unlike the existing Police Act, the bill outlined the role and duties of the police hierarchy to avoid role conflict and to introduce a responsibility clause to make them more effective. Section 24(2) of the bill forbids a police officer from being the prosecutor in matter that he or she participated to promote and respect the principle of natural justice and allow for free and fair trial. Section 28 of the bill, sir, provides for the bail of persons arrested without warrant to the effect that such persons shall not be kept in police detention for more than 24 hours without being charged to court within the jurisdiction to try them. This is to bring the provision of the Act, when passed into law, to conform with the constitutionally enshrined right of personal liberty as provided for by Section 35(5) of the Constitution of an African Charter on Human Rights and People Rights, which Nigeria has since ratified and which consequently is part of our municipal laws. Part 8 deals with the offenses by a police officer. The bill elaborates on existing offenses within the existing Police Act, and Section 51 particularly criminalizes the drinking while on duty of any intoxicating liquor by the Nigerian police. This provision is intended to prevent the abuse of weapons by a drunken police officer. Part 9 seeks to establish community police forum and boards in all the states of the Federation to consist of broad representatives of the community and the state to ensure effective, efficient, and participatory community policing. Divisional and state police boards are also established under Section 60 and 61, and the objective of such boards are to include establishing and maintaining a partnership between the community and the police, promoting communication between the police and the community, and promoting cooperation between the police and the community in fulfilling the needs of the community regarding policing. The rationale, sir, is the property of members of the community. It is ideal to involve the community in policing by engaging them in formal and a decision-making board to provide them with the opportunity to participate in reviewing and revising policing mechanisms in the community, sir. Part 13, sir, establish a complaint authority with its function clearly spelled out in section 78 to include receiving complaints against police officers' misconduct from the public and receiving complaints of misconduct against police officers from other police officers or authorities, sir. Section 79 provides for the steps to be taken after investigation, including sending a copy of the report of their investigation and recommendation to the Director of Public Prosecution if an offense is disclosed, and sending a copy of the report of the investigation and recommendation to the appropriate police authority for proper disciplinary action as per its regulation. We cannot envisage a meaningful reform of the Nigerian police without first and foremost reforming the legal infrastructure under which it operates. The bill is therefore that crucial step to reforming the Nigerian police to make it amenable to the demands and expectations of our independent democratic country. That is an eminent member of an increasingly globalized world, and to have a police that is product of our democratic experience and expectations. Let me digress here, Mr. President, and bring to your notice, sir, I have had the privilege of serving as a senior magistrate, acting chief magistrate, before leaving the service. I knew what the procedure was, I knew what the police were doing, and I knew how we were able to contain the increasing wave of crime and to make sure that whoever commits an offense is made to answer. Mr. President, today, even the ordinary traffic rules of the country are not being obeyed, sir. The consequence of that is that a lot of people have even lost their life because drivers will not obey traffic rules, they are not enforced, nothing is being done. And ironically, sir, Nigeria has the highest configuration of security agencies, each with authority to carry guns, from custom to immigration to DSS to police, and ironically, it has the least in Africa of protection by way of policing. So the issue now is, will this Senate sit down and continue to take public money to sustain this infrastructure while the public gets virtually nothing for it? The answer is no. And I'm of the opinion that a time has come when a responsible intervention into our experience as a democratic nation has become reasonably necessary in the circumstances in which we have found ourselves. I'm therefore urging my colleagues to allow this bill to go for the second reading so that the name of the Senate will be written in gold that it has at least recognized, based on the democratic experience from 1999 to date and our prevailing circumstances, and have made the necessary intervention to bring our democratic governance in line. Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, I submit that despite the fact that there are adherents of state police, I contend that given the circumstances of our time, we are aware that there are a lot of states that might not be able to establish and sustain a state police, and therefore they will be left to the whims and caprices of the federal police. We are saying that when that comes, let those states enjoy the benefit of a police that is accountable, a police that is responsible, a police that is well funded, and a police that can carry out the responsibility of protecting law and order. And I so move. Thank you very much, sir.
Senator Manager.
Thank you, Mr. President. My highly respected colleagues, James Ebiowo, Manager, Delta South. Mr. President, I rise to support this very important bill sponsored by a very equally important Senator Nahala, the Deputy Leader of the Senate, now acting as Leader of the Senate. Mr. President, when you look at the lead debate and the facts that have been brought out by the lead debate, it is very obvious, and you know as a Nigerian, you know what is happening in the country today. And then when you listen to Nahala, about this lead debate, it is very evident that we have to do something. We just have to do something. The structure of the police force as it is no longer serving the purpose. There's no doubt about that. And if you look at when the Police Act itself was passed, 1st of April 1943, certainly this was in the midst of colonialism in this country when the Police Act was passed. And therefore, it is very clear that it's one of those inherited laws, borrowed inherited laws. And even when this is 2018, there's no way that particular act and its provisions therein can serve our purpose, contemporary Nigerian situation. And therefore, it is very clear that majority of the problems we are being faced with today in this country arising from insecurity, which, of course, is the primary responsibility of police as a force to do so many things on our behalf, to provide security. Therefore, one is not surprised that there is so much insecurity and a lot of killings happening. To the extent that the military is being drafted into the scene almost every day. And therefore, if for any reason, God forbid, we have external aggression, we will be in trouble because the military is overworked. It's overworked. And that is the responsibility of the military. These responsibilities are shared, are divided. The one that the police is supposed to be doing, because of so many reasons, the police force cannot withstand it. And that's the reason why the military is being drafted to assist the police from time to time. Mr. President, my respected colleagues, I do realize that the clamor today is not about restructuring the police force, but about state police. But whether you create state police or not, there will be a federal police force. Just like it is happening in the UK, it's happening in so many advanced countries. There is going to be a federal police force. So even if you have a state police, you need to also have a federal police force that will serve the purpose, so that they will be doing things together, and all those are details that will be worked out. But if you leave the police force the way it is today, there's no doubt about the fact that the federal police force as it is effective, because we have amended the Police Act several times, no doubt about it, since 1943, but we need to take a very serious look at the Act itself and all the amendments that we have done in the past. Mr. President, my respected colleagues, I know, and that is also advanced in the argument of the sponsor of the bill, when he said in his closing remarks in the bill that the bill is certainly not an absolute panacea to our policing problems, but will be a major contribution to addressing it. That serves it all, Mr. President. And for the closing paragraph, Mr. Sponsor of Bill, my respected leader of the Senate, Nahala, this is one bill that must definitely have financial implications, whether you like it or not. But, Mr. President, my respected colleagues, this is not to kill this bill, no. This is not to suspend this debate, no. But this is one bill that must have financial implications, whether you like it or not. No matter how good the structure is, if you don't oil it, the structure will be completely ineffective. And I think that is a major problem the Nigerian police force is facing. So I agree with you to an extent, but financial implication is very key. One of the reasons why the police force is going down by the day, which we have argued several times, is because if you look at the budget of the police force, and if you look at the budget of defense, you see the difference. No doubt about that. After all, Mr. President, my respected colleagues, it's the same young Nigerians that are populated in the armed forces that are also in the police force. Why do we have a police force that is not as active, is not as effective as the Nigerian Army, or Nigerian Navy, or Nigerian Air Force. That is because the funding gaps is a very serious one. The funding gaps is very, and wherever you go to, you have a police force. Wherever you go to, you have a police station, you have police everywhere, even in your own communities, you have police force. But that is not the same with that of the army. But yet, the defense sector is far more funded than the police force. So that is a major problem. After all, it's the same Nigerians that we have in the forces that we also have in the police force. But ironically, very unfortunately, because of lack of proper funding, the police force appears to be inactive, ineffective. Not the same kind of trainings are given to both sides. This is the problem that we have. But the same police force, Mr. President, my respected colleagues, if for any reason we donate them or they go outside this country for any special operation, they come back with a lot of recommendation or commendation from international community, from international bodies, the same police force that is inactive in this country. So we have a problem. We are not looking after them very well. And therefore we need to look after the police force very well. And therefore this is one bill that must have serious financial implication. And therefore the financial compendium is very, very key, Mr. President, my respected sponsor of the bill. Well, you may have observation for it, but then, yes, you need to clarify on it. This is very, very important. Mr. President, my respected colleagues, while we clamor for state police to be created, we need to also look at the Nigerian police force as it is. Because the state police will never take away the Nigerian police force, in my humble view. And when we eventually, and that is my view, through with the second reading of this bill, I want this bill to be subjected to very serious public scrutiny, and where all the former Inspector Generals of Police must be invited. And we also need to also look at the police forces elsewhere in the world, because this is very key to securing Nigeria. Nigeria is in trouble, and the police force is key in solving the problems of this country. Mr. President, this is one bill that is very, very important. Though no financial compendium, but then allow it to go so that the Senate leader, who is the sponsor of this bill, will provide more flesh into why the financial compendium is not here. Because whether you like it or not, police needs funding. Funding is key. Whether you want to restructure the organs of the police force or not, funding is very, very key. Mr. President, I think I have made my case. Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity.
Senator Lidani.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Joshua Lidani, representing Gombe South. I rise to lend my voice in support of this bill, that it should go in for second reading so that views from the general public will be ventilated. It's true that the Police Act was enacted by the colonial masters. It has undergone several amendments, but there has not been a total overhaul of the Act itself. And therefore there is a need for the entire bill to be overhauled in order to cope with the change in the situation of this country. Nowadays, crime has gotten very sophisticated. Criminals have gone sophisticated. In terms of cybercrime, we now have cybercrime. We didn't have that in the 60s, 80s, or 70s. Now we have it. In the 60s or 70s, we didn't have a problem of kidnapping. Now we have it. We didn't have much problem of armed robbery. Now we have it. We didn't have much problem of herdsmen killings. Now we have it. So there's a need to have a police force that will be equipped to meet the challenges posed by these crimes. It was Chinua Achebe who said, since the hunter has learned to shoot without missing, the bird should learn to fly without perching. So there's a need for us to have a bill that will meet the challenges of the times. And I am glad that the leader has highlighted some of the areas that need total overhaul. One of them is the issue of human rights. These days, the police have gone berserk, killings at random. Only last week we discussed the issue of an NYC member who was killed at a checkpoint for no just reason. There is a need to hold the police accountable for some of these human rights abuses. And these days, human rights is the in thing. We have signed a treaty of human rights, African Charter of Human Rights, and so on. We need to hold the police accountable so that they too know that they have to respect the law. Also, the office of the Inspector General of Police. We have had situations where we've summoned the Inspector General of Police to appear here, and he has refused to appear because he feels he's not accountable to us. The manner of appointment of the IG2 is also something that we need to look into. While the IG feels he's not accountable to the Senate or to the National Assembly, something is wrong. And also, we need to look at the fact that technological advancement has gone far. The tools that the police use in detecting crimes is now obsolete. We have to bring them with up-to-date knowledge, train them to acquire the new skills so that they can be able to detect these crimes that have now gone sophisticated. Mr. President, the community-police relationship is also very key. These days, some of the crimes that are being perpetrated could easily be resolved if we have a good, robust community-police relationship. And this bill seeks to address that. If we have a strong, robust community-police relationship, the clamor for the state police may not abate, but it will at least go down a bit. I understand there is a great need for state police, but if some of these are addressed through the issue of community state policing, states that cannot afford to have the state police can be able to rely on this state police and community relationship so that it will enhance the capacity of the police in detecting and preventing crime. So, Mr. President, I support this bill. And I beg to disagree with my learned colleague, James Manager, about the need to have a compendium. There is no need for a compendium. All this bill seeks to do is to provide a new bill, and it's not seeking to establish a new structure. So there is no need for any financial compendium to address this problem. So, Mr. President, I totally support this bill, and I urge my colleagues to do so that it will go for second reading. Thank you very much.
Senator Gamade.
Thank you, Mr. President. A lot has already been said on this bill, but let me say, Mr. President, that the people I represent in this hallowed chamber, is the Benue Northeast Senatorial District, have been extremely concerned about the workings of this all-important agency of government, the way it is structured, the way it's administered, and the way it operates. Because we have been for a very long time in the theater of a lot of communal problems, a lot of terrorism, and in recent times, issues of foreign terrorists attacking our land, or let me say, herdsmen-farmers conflicts. And it has always been a tug of war, trying to get the police to do their work to the satisfaction of the ordinary people, even those who hold responsibility as chief security officers of our land. i.e. the governor of the state and the local government chairman in their various local governments. The issue of complete resistance of the head of the Nigeria police to come forward to deal with matters that affect the people has been constantly brought forward in this chapter, even up to a point where the chief security officer of the country, that is the commander-in-chief, himself was amazed when he said he ordered the head of police to take charge when there was this serious attack on the 1st of January this year in Benue State. And the man refused to appear there, even though the president said he did not know. It only adds up to the complications of the fact that this is a body that is in dire need of reforms. It needs to be restructured, it needs to be reformed, it needs to be completely overhauled, both by its structure and its workings. The image, of course, of the Nigeria police today is also extremely run down, as you all know. From stories of roadblocks and a few pennies collected from car owners and commercial vehicle owners, and so on and so forth, gives this body an image that is not befitting to be the law enforcement agency or the prime law enforcement agency of this nation. So, Mr. President, I join my colleagues in expressing our full commitment and support to the proposal of this bill to reform the Nigeria police. And I think the lead debate has captured a lot of what is required to be done. I go along with earlier speakers in saying that those issues that have not been captured very well can be taken on board when the public hearing is done. And a comprehensive public hearing that involves the operators of the system now and those who seek state police, who have ideas on how community policing can be tackled, would also bring ideas. After all, it goes without saying that there must always be federal police for Nigeria. And we need to work with state police or even community police if we were to establish them. I do know that at our youth, there used to be local government police. And those commanders were very effective in their various native authorities because they knew everybody and they knew every nook and corner of the society, and most of those enlisted were known by the people that they were policing. Today, policemen sometimes are accused of conniving with certain criminals and visiting havoc on the community which they are supposed to be policing. But because they come from elsewhere, it's always very difficult to actually know in advance the quality of those kind of personnel until they begin to act. And sometimes before that is known, they have caused enough havoc in the community. And when you begin to now apply for their transfer, the damage has already been done. And even for those honest and dedicated police commanders, they arrive at these postings, the first people to come forward to make friends with them are always the criminals, because we know that they must always be in partnership so that they can carry out their trade without any serious apprehension. So, Mr. President, I support the reform of the Nigerian police, and I think this bill is the best instrument by which that can be done. And at public hearing, I would encourage all the states that want to have state police to come forward. And let us get a federal police force structured properly and working properly. This will in fact be much faster and easier to do than even to create state police, because the state police issue is a constitutional matter which may require a lot more work than we can achieve by reenacting the Police Act, which is long overdue for repeal and reenactment. I support this bill, and I urge my colleagues to support it to be read a second time. Thank you.
Mr. President, my dear colleagues, let me join other speakers in commending the efforts of Senator Ibn Nala for proposing this amendment. Mr. President, the mere fact that some sections of this amendment are to deal with establishment of state police boards and all that may fully indicate that it has become a constitutional matter. I'm beginning to wonder whether it will not be appropriate if Ibn Nala and those that work with him come up with an amendment to the Constitution. Because, Mr. President, security of life and property is said to be the fundamental responsibility of any responsible government. And if this Police Act that has been amended now and with series of other amendments have been there since 1943, it means that the Act itself will need fundamental changes. And I don't know why we are fighting sharp in coming straight on to say, look, Nigeria is now ripe and due for state police. And we clearly indicate that because the circumstances of our present generation do demand that. And there is no other more appropriate time, Mr. President, there is no other person that is more qualified than Ibn Nala, who has been both at the bar and at the bench. A fundamental job will need to be done so that we tackle this issue once and for all. A situation where people at the creeks and at the fringes of this country will be waiting for orders, instructions from Abuja before certain action will be taken means that there is no way we will completely provide security for life and property. And so we will sit down. There is no need being in a hurry, Mr. President. Let us get back to work and come up with adequate provisions that will engender, provide for the establishment of state police. And there is no other route towards that other than constitutional amendment. And so, therefore, request, demand, and suggest that if it is possible, I don't want to hit my colleague below the belt. If it is possible, let this bill be withdrawn and a more robust, structured provision be made so that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria will incorporate this as a concurrent matter. Because for now, it is on the exclusive legislative list. Thank you, Mr. President.
Francis.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Francis Ali Mikena, representing the good people of Edo North. Mr. President, I rise to support this bill, which is very, very important. You could see that this bill, if passed to law, will replace the Act of the Nigerian Police that was made in 1943. How many years ago? As you know, any law that is made after 10 years that is not even repealed, not amended, is an obsolete law, which means that the police have been acting on the colonial act since we even attained independence. No wonder, Mr. President, that most of these police activities, they are still performing as if they are in the colonial era. You know, it's just of recent that the police did away with batting. And now they now carry AK-47 or this rifle. I can tell you, Mr. President, that most of the police that are carrying this rifle, they don't even know how to use it because they are not trained. They are still believing on this, maybe probably from battery to the rifle that they are carrying, and they are not well trained to handle a rifle, and that's why in most cases when they go out, you will see they say police trigger and all those type of things. And I believe that this bill also take care of the police welfare, because in anywhere where there is hunger, there is frustration. Now, this bill also take care about their training. I disagree with my distinguished colleague who just said that the bill should be withdrawn. The bill should not be withdrawn because it's a very perfect bill that will take care of the Nigerian police. When we are talking of the Nigerian police, not the state police. Yes. It is when we have perfection in the Nigerian police that the state police can take a cue from the Nigerian police. Now, what we see that most of these Nigerian police, they are still acting as if they don't know. Most of them are not even trained. Somebody trained for four weeks in the training institution that you now give him a gun to handle. They don't know how to handle the gun. They don't even know how to interrogate people in the police cell. And that's why you see that they don't get information. Mr. President, if you go to most of these police stations and we say volunteer information, when you volunteer information to the police, before you know, the volunteer will be killed the following day. Because they reveal the information to the informant to say, look, this is the man who gave us information. Why are they doing this? Because they are not trained. They don't know what is secrecy. They don't even know that that information given to them is a tool for them to work very well. All they need to do is just maybe probably give him 2 naira or 3 naira if divulge that information. That's why you now say, like, when police ask for information, most of them nobody want to give them information. Before you give them information to say this an armed robber is here, before you know, you that volunteered that information will kill the following day. So this bill, if passed to law, will curb those ones so that the police will employ seasoned people, those who are qualified, who knows what it is to be a policeman. If we are outside, if we go to outside, you see most of these policemen, when they interview you, you believe that that one has even gone to a university, not knowing that it's just a French this thing from the school. Why can't we have such a thing here, where most of the police, they cannot even write well? So this bill is act, and it will cure all the ills of some of them we are finding from the police. How can a policeman, you give information, he cannot even act on information, and you that brought the information will be eliminated. So I write to support this bill. It's a nice thing to do. It's not a constitutional issue. It's a bill to reform the Nigerian police, which is very apt. So I support the bill.
All right, Senator, now they want to say something before I close it.
Yes, I just a right of reply. Let me commend the legal position taken by my learned friend and brother, distinguished Senator Ledani. Sir, when the framers of our rules of the Senate inserted an idea about financial implication, they are referring to the bills that are freshly introduced for the purpose of establishing fresh bodies. We all know that the Nigerian police exists. We don't have problem about that, but what we are asking is whether this Senate today has moral authority to accept a situation, and I'm sorry to say today, that will use public funds and galvanize 30,000 policemen to supervise an election in Ikiti, while they could not mobilize 10,000 people to stop the killing in Zamfara and other places. Is this Senate in a position to say that what is being done is that our party, the APC that I represent, sir, we frown at this? It's not part of our manifesto. It's not part of what we promised the people. And I'm sure that the president himself knows that this is not acceptable in the situation. But unfortunately, the police has already conditioned itself to that kind of services, Korokoro eye services. In our commitment, sir, to continue to endure and tell the Nigerian people that we will live by our promise. That is why we are before you asking for the reform. Let there not be a situation where the killings will be happening, we will not have 10,000 police, and an election is going, we have 30,000 policemen. I don't like that situation. I abhor it, and I think that that does not represent what we stand for as a party, and therefore we will seek the indulgence of my colleagues to reform this institution that is called the Nigerian police. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. And in response to this, our last statement, I'm also worried about the fact that we'll have 30,000 policemen who can deploy in a state for election. And then the other issue here is the issue of sincerity in deploying 30,000 policemen. If we have 30,000 policemen and it will ensure security of lives and properties and make sure there's fair and fair election, there's no problem with that. But sometimes some of these statistics are misleading, and it only goes to account when allowances are to be paid, and nobody's sure how many people actually participated. Meanwhile, provisions will be made for that number. So that is my worry here. But if we have 30,000 policemen and we can deploy them and pay them, and they can accounted for, there's no problem with that anyway. So, but it's doubtful that we have enough 30,000 policemen who can deploy in the state because of election. But somehow, allowance will be made available for 30,000. So we need to ensure accountability when we make statements such as the number of people we are deploying to work, in any of these places. So this is important, not just dropping figures. Anyway, having said this, I want to thank everybody for your contribution, and thank especially the sponsor of this bill for the ingenuity has brought to bear in production of this bill, and to say that, yes, we in the Senate we are committed to a permanent solution to the policing problem we have in Nigeria, especially the frustrations we have presently, regarding killings, which led to the Senate deciding that we need to consider the issue of state and community policing. And I'm happy to announce that we've done sufficient work. The Committee on Constitutional Review of the Senate will look at the final draft of the bill today, and hopefully by Thursday we may take the first reading. But while we're doing that, it's also absolutely necessary to provide a first aid, to a troubled situation. So I believe that this will help at least to keep things going until we're able to find a permanent and a solution that will consider world class, doing things the way others are doing in other parts of the world, to be able to provide a security that is predictable and efficient for the peoples of our country. So I want to thank you also for this intervention, and I hope that it will be able to provide the necessary first aid and to be able to provide the expected solution through a constitutional amendment that people can go home and be able to ensure that, yes, every home will be protected, every life will be protected, properties will be protected. And until we do that, we cannot say we have done our duty or performed our responsibility to our people, because as people, as government and as leaders, our responsibility primarily will continue to be the protection of lives and properties and then the provision of welfare to our people. So we'll continue to do that. And as I said, while the process for constitutional amendment to establish state and community policing will be going on, this will help to provide some succor, in terms of the institution of police and then the working of the police that will be effective and efficient. So thank you, Senator Nala and our colleagues for your contributions. So having said this, we will now put the question. Those who support that this bill be read the second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Police Act, Cap P18, LFN 2004, and enact the police reform and for related matters 2018, second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to repeal the Police Act, Cap P18, Laws of the Federation 2004, and to enact the police reform and for related matters 2018, second reading, taken and referred to the Committee on Police Affairs to report back in 4 weeks. Senate Leader.
Well, Mr. President and my distinguished colleague, in view of the fact that there is going to be a meeting of the Committee on Constitutional Review of the Senate, as you earlier announced, and the other 2 meetings that are taking place, I will crave the indulgence of my colleagues that we stand down all the remaining items on the order paper to another legislative day, and I so move, Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I support the motion that we stand down every other item on the order paper and then adjourn to another legislative day. Thank you.
Well, before I put the question, let me apologize to those of our colleagues whose bills are supposed to come up today and were unable to take them. Just want to assure you that time permitting, we should be able to take it tomorrow or at the earliest opportunity. So please bear with us. So having said this, those in support that the Senate stand down the remaining items on the paper to another legislative day, say aye. Aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Senate Leader.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, having concluded all the items on the order paper, I seize this opportunity to thank my colleagues for all their support for today's proceeding, and more particularly to thank distinguished Senator, Lieutenant General, President Attempted Jeremiah Timbu Husseini for dedicatively, President denied, and therefore move that we adjourn this House to Wednesday, the 11th day of July, 2018, at 10 a.m. prompt, while thanking distinguished Senator Abdullahi Adamu for acting the Deputy Senate President for 5 minutes. Thank you very much, sir.
Senator Danny.
Thank you, Mr. President. I support the motion that we adjourn till tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the forenoon.
Mrs. Collins, those in support that the Senate do not adjourn to tomorrow, 11th day of July 2018 at 10 a.m. prompt, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senate is accordingly adjourned.